Welcome to a new episode of SheTech from Dream to Career. And this one is an extremely special one for my heart. And it's not just because Didem was the head of applied strategy of data and AI at Microsoft or the VP for AI strategy innovation at Schneider Electric and now the founder and CEO of LotusAI. But it's mostly because she's literally my biggest woman role model in tech and the person that inspired me to start this journey of getting into the AI world and tech in general. She's literally the person that made me apply for my university and I in AI and literally the reason why I even start this journey. I'm not gonna say more because I'm just going to leave you to listen this episode. Please follow along for all of it because it's truly an inspiration and honor to have her in this podcast, and it means a lot for me if you watch it.
I'm Turkish and I had wonderful parents who were mathematicians, engineers, entrepreneurs, etc. But there was domestic violence in my family. And while that sounds like a horrible adversity, actually it triggered my whole journey. So that's why I do try to share it, even though it's not the easiest thing. And as you probably remember from our Athens, the very first time we met, what happened was I came up with a dream for myself, big dream to get going basically. And the dream was to go to the US, get scholarship. Obviously, my family couldn't afford that type of fees, and study electrical engineering. That was my dream. And in addition to the money handicap, there was the definite knowing that my father especially wouldn't allow me to go to the US at the age of 17. So that triggered my whole journey, as you may remember. And it turned out to be a wonderful thing. So I applied secretly to university. I don't recommend people do that, definitely don't. But for me, it worked out quite well. I got scholarship, I got accepted, and I told my parents I'm going to the US, which was early August. And then my journey in both electrical engineering and management started off. Spent about 10 years in the States. Now it's 20 years in the UK, just over 20 years. And my professional journey is very much half technical, half business, about a third management consulting, two-thirds in the industry, and last almost 15 years in AI space, mostly with Microsoft, their first business AI team, etc., where we met as one of our volunteer projects in Alice in Wonderland and Girls in AI hackathons. But fast forward, all of those amazing experiences at Microsoft led me to have my own business right now for the last 2 years, where we help amazing clients, especially in financial services, with their own AI transformations journeys, but also their portfolio companies, the companies that they invest in. So that's where I am, Andrea. I don't want to, it's a long journey. So it
Yeah, I
can
know,
take
I
a whole
know.
podcast if we
It's been
expand.
also during the speech you made about like the whole journey that you had. And to be fully honest, the moment when you said that you didn't tell your parents, I did exactly the same when I applied to my university in Amsterdam. And
Oh my
you did
God,
it.
what a bad role model. Oh my God, did
I
you?
mean,
Are
it
they
worked
okay?
out. I just applied, I got in, and then I told them because they were also a bit. They were like, "You can do it in Romania, but I really want you to do AI." But they are fully okay with it right now.
Good. Oh
But
my
pretty
God.
much,
They
you
won't come
inspire
after
me.
me in London, I hope. Like you did it. It's because of you.
No, they are not going to come. No, no,
Good.
don't worry about it.
I would love to meet them in person someday. Just explain.
Yeah, to explain yourself. They don't know. Until this podcast, I never told them how I got that.
Oh my God, that's unbelievable. Now it's even more
Yeah.
meaningful. Okay.
A bit, a bit. But also, I know that I still remember very good about your keynote speaker at Girls in AI hackathons, which is basically when everything for me started. And I'm really curious to understand a bit, maybe also your motivation to invest so deeply in like young girls and also like just the younger generation to get into AI.
Yeah, I mean, I think for me, because all my education is based on scholarships, Andrea, I feel like first of all, the best way to give back is education and giving opportunity. Education doesn't have to be formal education; it could be upskilling, reskilling in terms of prompt engineering trainings or something. So that's number one. Number two, I feel very privileged to have helped very large organizations generate billions of dollars. I mean, I haven't counted, but I know my professional impact has been quite tangible for many, many companies. But still, for me, the most fulfilling part has been Girls in AI, the volunteer project that turned into quite a big program globally. Now, why it motivates me, there was definitely one incident in my career that is very pivotal. So I think it was 2017 or 18, something like that, when I went to Grace Hopper conference. It's a huge conference for women in tech, and we were 18,000 people. And I looked around, mostly women, I mean, there were men as well, and without exception, doesn't matter if they were a white American woman or a Danish woman or a black African woman, the problems, the challenges, the discriminate, all those things the list goes on, were exactly the same. And when you're in a room with 18,000 people, and then I said, like, this is just not even a fraction. Think of this in tech, think of this in finance industry, in whatever, media industry, construction industry. Basically, half of the 8 billion is going through these things. This is such a waste of talent, economic opportunity, you name it. So gives me, I mean, it's kind of the obvious. If we don't do it, why would it be? So that's what triggers me. And I think maybe the last point I'll add, it's just, I don't know if it's a personal thing or if it's related to my journey. I like protecting and helping the underdog. And that doesn't have to be gender-based. It can be anything. It could be a country. It could be something else. So it's just very fulfilling to pick up as many starfish on the beach as possible. That's why I think I like doing what I do.
Yeah, I definitely do understand that. Like with all the small project that I'm also trying to run alongside, I feel like the most fulfilling is like when they came to you and like, oh, thank you, this helped me so much in their career or anything. And I managed to meet some of the girls that I helped before, and like just meeting them and seeing that you did maybe a small part, just giving them
Yes,
courage makes such a much difference in your life in a way or another.
absolutely. I think you felt it much more often than I've done with your work with teens and AI. So thank you for that. We need more Andreas in this world. Absolutely. Yeah.
I know that you also shape the strategy across some of the biggest organizations in the world, but I'm really curious a bit about your beginning of what sparks your interest into like AI technology, and did you have any role models growing up?
Yeah, interesting question. So I think the very first part of the journey, in other words, deciding to become an engineer, and there was no AI at that time, at least not enterprise AI, was the determination not to be like my mom. And I'm very sorry to say she's a wonderful person. She's given up her career to raise us two kids. And then she was stuck in a very unhappy, very abusive situation for 30 or so years. So I was so determined growing up that I definitely want to be on my own feet, financially, psychologically. I want to be strong. Led me, at least in those years, the safest option was technology. I knew where I could pretty much live in any country I wanted if I was a good engineer. I knew there would not be shortage of jobs as far as I could see. So it was very pragmatic. And I was good at STEM and math and so it was kind of the easiest choice rather than reading hundreds of pages for law or medicine or something. Um, that's the very first reason. The second reason for AI specifically was actually started with Microsoft Ventures, where I think we met probably around that time. When I looked at our portfolio companies around the world, from Tel Aviv to Bangalore to Beijing, the highest potential, fastest growth startups, even then, this is traditional AI, were AI startups. And just around that time, one of my team members, somebody reporting to me, a brilliant lady, went to Davos for, as she was 30 under 30, and she was one of the young Davos leaders. When she came back, she said, Didem, it's all about AI. It was all about AI. So we saw that very clearly because we were in the kitchen of this technology cooking, that was going to be a tectonic shift. We didn't have to wait until ChatGPT or something becoming mass market. You're the same. Like we had Girls in AI, Alice in Wonderland initiatives years before ChatGPT because we knew this was going to be massive. But when you go outside that kitchen, it's still, I mean, there are today in 2026 January, there are people still debating, oh, is this a hype? Is this real? Like to me, it's mind blowing, but that's the reality of rest of the world. So that's what had triggered me. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, totally understand. And I also look a bit like about your journey that you transfer a bit from a corporate world to actually building your own company. And I'm really interested to understand how important do you think is like now transitioning to entrepreneurship, having in mind that we're living in an AI empowered world in a way.
Thank you for asking this question, Andrea, because I think it is such an exciting time. Look, of course, AI, just like any other technology, I mean, from camera, photographies, and so on to anything, is going to result in many jobs being changed or completely vanished and so on. We see the news, we read the studies, etc. That there's no doubt that AI is disrupting already the landscape of jobs and workspace. But what I think many people don't know yet is thanks to AI triggered trends or I guess, democratization, such as vibe coding, people now are able to develop an app, a website, a business in a weekend as a solo founder, as a micro startup, and literally monetize that on a weekly basis right there. I mean, it is massive. The entrepreneurship, it's the next tectonic shift in my view, is actually explosion of entrepreneurship. And that's why I also expect a huge disruption in large enterprises and many industries because AI transformation, AI value creation, I should say, is so hard in a large company. There's so much politics, so much resistance, so much legacy technology. We know that, right? I mean, the list goes on. It is super difficult to actually make the most of AI in a large organization and in a traditional industry. So all those organizations are either going to experience a fast death, not slow death, I'm sorry to say, because this is coming very fast, or they will have to really reinvent how they make money, which is challenging when you have 200,000 people to worry about or 50K people. So, why I'm saying this is the next huge challenge and opportunity is how to teach people to become entrepreneurs. You can come up with a business idea, you can develop the business idea, etc. But scaling a business idea, pricing a product is a different skill. And doing it alone as a solo founder, which is going to be the norm, I think, is even more challenging. So those are challenging and exciting, I think. So that's where, did I answer your question, or was there something else, some
No,
other
I
part
think
that
you
I should
answer,
explain?
but I think it also sparked another question in a way or
Sure.
another, which is I do understand why it's like becoming more and more important. I think the question that everyone will ask is like, how do I even start creating something? Like I know vibe coding is a thing, but I don't know if I'm a girl trying to
Yeah.
get in this entrepreneur world, what should I do? Should I learn something from some courses? Should I just start doing it and see what's going to happen?
Oh, great. Another great question. So, I see what you mean. So, first of all, I do think entrepreneurship can be taught and learned. That's definitely. But there is also a little bit genetic factor, I think. I'm just like, I am a recent entrepreneur, right? But I realized that I was always an entrepreneur. And it's so exciting and fulfilling for me. When I was at the largest of companies, I still started a new business, new product, new initiative. I saw the opportunities. I knew how I could solve problems. And I raised my hand, like, I can do this. And you may remember from some of our events together, like, apart from the very first job that got me into Microsoft for that where I stayed 12 years, I always wrote my own job description. And that is intrapreneurship. So you could start your journey or have some portion of your journey in a large company or medium-sized company, but you could at heart still be an entrepreneur. So that is a good muscle to build wherever you are. And then the second thing is, I think just that itch to do bigger, more, have a bigger impact, have a meaningful legacy is the best sign of saying, oh, actually, I think I'm an entrepreneur. So once you realize that, the rest follows. It really does. I mean, Andrea, maybe I should add this. I always wanted to be an entrepreneur. I mean, even at high school, I thought that was my father was an entrepreneur, and I felt that's the utopia, right? But because I spent my life in foreign countries, like not Turkey, I should say, I always felt not secure enough, like especially as a working mom and a large organization where you see smart people, smarter people, this and that. You feel like I mean, it's a bit unsafe. It's intimidating to start your own business. Guess what happened? When I decided to leave my last corporate role, saying I've tried my best with large companies, I can't take this anymore. The same week, the same week I decided, Goldman Sachs reached out and said, could you help us with our 300 portfolio companies? And that's how I had to start my own business. Literally waiting for a friend who was late to lunch. She was literally late. So I had to start my business in 10 minutes because I had to invoice Goldman before Christmas. They had a deadline for accounting purposes. And that's how to this day, I am half embarrassed, half laughing to say that we don't have a business plan yet because I never had time to do it. And if somebody told me after going to Columbia Business School and Wharton Business, all these prestigious business schools, Didem, you're going to have a business for 2 years and you won't have a business plan, I would say that's just not acceptable. But that's the reality. So very, very long story to say. If when it's meant to be, it will happen anyways, but keep absorbing the experiences, be proactive, be switched on about business opportunities and also founders, co-founders, partners, because that's also important.
Yeah, definitely. I think all the time we're talking, I find a new story that
You
becomes
do
my
go for it.
favorite, and I'm like, oh my God, this is like amazing. Yeah, I do believe a lot that when it's meant to happen, the opportunity will
Yes.
just shock you
Yes.
and will come.
Yes.
And having in mind this absolutely insane and amazing journey that you have, do you think you have any like skills or habit that contribute the most to your success?
Thanks for asking. I think there are a few intrinsic ones that came with the package of DDAM, and I'm sure you have them your own package. And there are a few that came along on the way extrinsically. So, and I want to share the extrinsic ones because I think those are very, very doable, very hopefully helpful for our audience. The intrinsic one, I realize it's very, very late in my life, but I am what we call a highly sensitive person, HSP. It's a condition, apparently, I learned that 20% of human and animal populations have. What that means is I can sense more and earlier, I feel more, but it also comes to pros and cons, right? I hate itchy things, for example. Like it's both physical and psychological. So why was this such a critical success factor for me? Because like AI, I was able to sense with conviction that this wasn't a fluffy, another crazy technology. I was literally bang on, like 15 years in before, or let's say 10 years before it became mass market. So, inner voice is listening and hearing my inner voice, respecting my body's signals like allergies or those types of things is very important part of my success factors. I have to say, I listen. I don't take things for granted. I don't ignore my signals. And therefore, I did not accept status quo. What that means is, I'm miserable, but I'll continue. Who cares? I'll get on with it. No, if I'm unhappy, I either change the situation and or if I'm unable to change, it's not under my control, I change myself, my circumstances. I move on, find a new job, whatever, whatever. So that's the kind of, and I'm an opportunistic. Of course, we're all hardworking people, but proactive, etc. So those are the intrinsic things which may or may not be true for our audience. The extrinsic things is I by far, especially for females, is public speaking. It's easily learnable, teachable, um, but it has been the most liberating thing in my whole life, personal and professional. The fact that you can uh, think, not just think, but land messages, connect with an audience is the most powerful thing. I think you could be a genius engineer or a finance person or whatever, but if you're not able to connect and land messages, I think the success will be very limited nonetheless. So that, and I just want to re-emphasize entrepreneurial skills. Maybe you're not ready to start your business yet, but if you think of life, professional person, whatever, as opportunities to create value, then no matter, people will snatch you anyways because you're a great asset. That could be sales skills, that could be people skills, whatever it is, just grabbing opportunities, creating opportunities, solving problems. Those are, I think, very, very important success factors.
Yeah, definitely totally agree, especially with like public speaking. I think that was like one of the first things I learned during my hackathons, how important it is to know how to pitch your idea. You can have the best idea, but if you're not able to go there and say it right, it just
Absolutely.
disappears.
That is the best thing. And it is the good news is no matter how scared you may, I have my personal catastrophes on the topic, which I'm not going to go into, like super humiliating, funny experiences. But the thing is, you could be scared death about public speaking. You can overcome it. So that is very, very achievable
Yeah,
skill, I
definitely
think.
agree because I was one of those people that totally scared to even think in
Yeah,
English, not even speak, and now I'm like doing it like it's my second
of
language, so
course.
it's totally learnable, and I think it helped me with my confidence and also just me in general with my journey so much. So definitely one skill that everyone should have.
100%. Same, absolutely.
Yeah, I also know that you advise Golden Sage on like generative and AI and as you said, value creation. I'm really interested to understand maybe what's like the most exciting or most misunderstood part on like adopting AI into like financial services.
Yeah. So great again, very exciting. I mean, I'm glad you asked this question. So by the way, we advise many private equity firms, not just Goldman Sachs, and actually even more so recently. But the most exciting part is creating value, impact, like, and that impact is sometimes personal, of course, more so like the traditional way is the business impact, which is also super exciting. But there are so many funny things. Sometimes, I have one-to-one AI tutoring with very senior executives or like partners of these firms because they don't want to slow down their team or they don't have time, whatever. So these brief sessions are I have to, just an anecdote. A few weeks ago, I had this, and this gentleman, super smart finance investor, started jumping up and down, laughing, like completely shouting in his office to the extent like the EAs came like, Didem, what are you doing? What's happening? Like we've never seen him like this. And to me, because I guess I'm an emotional person, it's such a rewarding experience that like the business impact is a given, right? You're there for that purpose. But the human side, the most misunderstood thing, especially in, I mean, it doesn't have even have to be financial services firms, but the misunderstood or overseen part is how important culture is. And I am moving on from saying AI transformation, I'm saying AI value creation, AI impact. Because we want that, you want your culture to be ready, the mindset's open, the brain's open for change, and that can only happen with good intentions. In other words, when people trust you, trust their leaders, that this needs to be done and they are going to be well taken care of. Without that honesty, that trust, AI value creation, I think, is very difficult. So that is the misunderstood part because it's so easy to subscribe to Copilot and or buy some platforms. Nobody will adopt them. Even if they want to try them, they are not going to really all sorts of things. It's basically, I think the misunderstood or misconception is that AI is basically a brutally honest mirror. If there is toxicity in an organization, if the culture is not as good, AI will bring it to the surface and even amplify it, and you won't get anything done with AI because people don't believe in the mission. So that is the interesting bit that is a bit tricky to explain, but it is the truth. So I think culture comes first. That's what I'm trying to say.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. Now getting a bit into like Lotus AI, the new company that you developed, I'm really interested to try to understand maybe what inspired you to even start with this like business idea. Did you saw any like gaps in the market, or what was there to make you think this is it?
Yeah, so the funny story I already shared, right? I mean, it was just super serendipitous. The stars aligned. There was already a huge customer interested in my help. And then they had an ecosystem of numbers of portcos and portfolio companies that needed help. Um, but I don't want to say what like I maybe not as intentionally, but definitely was the case that I was already acquiring the skills. I was on sales side, I was on technical side, and I liked multitasking all my life. Like I love marketing, I love selling, I love building things, I love teams, I love people management. So it just lined up, Andrea. Even though it may look like it was very serendipitous, um, actually on the journey in the journey, literally it was dropping every day. So I hope I was able to answer that question. So yeah,
Yeah,
just
def-
being a little bit flexible with the plan. The best
mm,
plan is a good plan, right? I mean, you may have
yeah.
a vision of I'm going to have my business, but just be patient. Maybe now is not the right time. It will come. Being
Mm.
observant and being, radars open will get you there.
Yeah, definitely. And I know that Lotus AI is focused a lot of like helping common companies build like responsible and also sustainable AI. I'm really interested to understand maybe what do you think is the most important consideration people should take before like developing AI products?
Yeah, AI products or anything to do with AI roadmaps, I would say business strategy. Andrea, you would be surprised. I mean, I can't even count the number of companies and industries I help by now. Yes, last 2 years is more financial services, etc. But before that, I worked on every industry that one can imagine because of my roles and especially last role at Microsoft. But the most important thing is business. Well, what do you want to do with your business? And the shocking thing is how few leaders can actually articulate that. If a business, regardless of its size, has lost its direction, its core competence, its business health, pretty much, then I mean, what can AI do? It's just a tool. So business strategy comes first. Where do I want to get to? What are my biggest problems? What are my biggest opportunities? Then comes the AI as a tool to realize those dreams for the company. The second thing that is very important is to think end to end. Like you cannot, this is such a comprehensive, consuming change that most processes are being reinvented or have to be reinvented. You can't just say, oh, I'm going to implement AI in my sales function. No, sales function impacts customer service. Sales function impacts engineering because what kind of products are. So it has to be the end-to-end value chain if you're talking business. If you're talking experimentation and sexy technical projects, then yeah, go for POCs here and there. But that's not going to scale and that's not going to have business impact. And of course, I mean, you mentioned it in your question. The moment we think about product development, roadmap, strat, all of these things, talent transformation and responsible AI. It's part of the package. If you're not preparing the talent, thinking of the needs, training needs, it's not going to happen. If you're not thinking of responsible AI guardrails, regardless of what product, what industry you are in, it's a time bomb waiting to explode. Just like cybersecurity. If you're not buttoned up in cybersecurity, I always say that, you know something is going to happen. It's just a matter of when. Same with AI. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely makes sense. I think it's something that maybe people don't even think because when you're thinking about AI, you're more going into, oh, tech, how do you build it? How do you make it?
Yeah.
But people tend to forget to like what's most important, who you're impacting with your AI, your future
Yes.
client in a way or another. So
Absolutely.
definitely. Now I'm more going maybe a bit of like our audience, and I'm curious from your perspective as leadership, what do you think are the most important skills someone working in AI and big data should have?
Oh, what a great question again. So I think it may sound controversial, but especially in AI and big data, the skills is the people skills, hearing, listening, and that emotional intelligence. Because especially given the trends with vibe coding and all these things that are basically technology taking care of itself, it is the business side and people side that needs a lot of focus. And as we all know, especially if we are coming from more traditional education systems where you study, if you're engineering, you study math, sciences, and you really couldn't be bothered with philosophy or ethics or something, that is a that's what not to do. So, especially if we are coming from those types of education, let's say factories, then we have to be even more mindful about how does this, that emotional side, emotional intelligence side of things will shape. I think, as I alluded to earlier, how to scale, how to make impact, hopefully kind, positive impact with our solutions is also very important. This is not just an exciting technology. And I know I'm saying the obvious, but I'll say it anyways. I mean, if you're in this sector like AI or cutting edge technology, clearly you love learning. Clearly you get bored easily. I mean, I can't do the same thing for more than a week. So this is a super exhilarating, exciting place, but you have to be okay with like, okay, renewing your certifications or learning new technologies. And that's the best part, right? And I think that's contagious. Once people see each other doing that, they radiate that happiness of learning. So
Yeah,
those would
definitely.
be, I think, the skills I would mention.
Yeah, definitely. I can see that because like AI is like every day and every second is changing or something new
Yeah,
appears and you need to be up to it because I mean I feel like that's the exciting part. You never know
of course.
to get, and someone invents something new. So I just love like opening sometimes my LinkedIn and be like, oh, something new pop up.
Exactly. You can't keep up, and that's the joy. I mean, if people feel overwhelmed by that, then this is definitely not the right place. The ambiguity that, okay, what is next? Oh my God, nobody expected this. That's the exciting piece, right? So I
Yeah,
don't know. That's probably a must skill.
definitely. And I'm curious, for example, let's say that a girl is listening who is very passionate about AI, but maybe a bit intimidated about the whole sector. What do you think are some of the small steps you could do to start your journey?
Yeah, I'll suggest a very small step. Look in the mirror every day, as often as you can, possibly can, and tell ourselves that we are enough. We can absolutely do it. No one is better, no one is smarter, etc. And that just you can do it. Just do it is the thing. That it's really our own minds that limit us, not nobody else, nothing else. Even if they try to, they cannot. I mean, maybe we were programmed while we were being raised, or whatever, family programming, cultural programming, doesn't matter. None of that. It's just those are just frameworks. So the girl listening today who's curious about AI, I would highly recommend pick something that she cares about. It could be music, it could be whatever, and say, how do I use AI, or how do I do music with AI better? Yeah, nothing else.
Yeah, I think you also mentioned this exercise during the Girls' Day hackathon, and I did it all the time when I was maybe doubting myself in like
Oh,
different perspective, and it helped all the time. Just even at work, if something didn't work well in a way or another, I went to the bathroom, did the whole exercise, of course, in my mind, and it just worked. So
of course. And I think it's a female wiring thing. I mean, I don't mean to just generalize or anything, but when after having worked decades with male leaders and male amazing colleagues, most of them don't seem to be ever questioning themselves. Like, we overthink over, and am I enough? Do I fulfill all the checklists to do that? No, you don't have to. Everything is work in progress. Human society is work in progress, so you're totally fine. But realizing that was too late for me. I hope the young girls will not will be much better than I am on that one.
Yeah, definitely. And I think I have one last question, which I absolutely love to ask everyone, is that if you could go back to your younger self, what would be one piece of advice you'll give yourself?
I think it would be this almost very similar. In my personal case, I would say it wasn't your fault, and that you're more than enough. um, the fault piece is, I think, more common than it's not just me, right? I always thought the domestic violence, the unhappy surrounding, and so on was somehow my fault. Of course, it didn't make sense. I was rationally wasn't thinking that, but deep down, I always, until very, very recently, even felt there's something not right with me, whether we call it this imposter syndrome or what not what, but just that advice to my younger self, or whether child or teenage, would be like, has nothing to do with you. It wasn't under your control. Therefore, get on with your life, and you're more than enough to realize any dream you can think of.
Definitely. I think that's a great piece of advice, to be honest. And again, I don't know how to thank you for taking your time because I know you're extremely busy to just be here and do this podcast. It means a lot to me. And it always will mean a
Likewise.
lot to me to be able to even just talk with you because, like, for me, you're such an inspiration for my whole journey. So, yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you, Andrea. And I'm so excited for you. 2026 have started in such an amazing way. I really hope we will meet in person now, whether that's Amsterdam, Romania or London, I don't know. And I would love to meet your parents now that I owe them an apology. So
Definitely, definitely. When I know we are going to meet, I'm putting them in a flight to come as well.
excellent, excellent. I'm super happy to host you all or we meet. Thank you for having me. It's such a pleasure to be here. Nothing to mention about time or anything. This is the most meaningful thing. Thank you, Andrea.
Thank you for watching another amazing episode of SheTech from Dream to Career. And please follow along for even more amazing women role models in the tech world.